Hello and welcome to Barb Talks. Today we're talking about interesting books. And this particular latest book that I've read is from the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series. Some of the other books in this series include The Alchemist, The Magician, The Sorceress, The Neocromancer, The Warlock, and then the sixth book called The Enchantress. And it is written by Michael Scott. Michael Scott is a very famous Irish author on mythology and folklore. What I like about it is that he grabs pieces of folklore and pieces of history and then welds them into this fantasy world so that you really feel like you get to know the people. I would compare it kind of to the Harry Potter series in that there's two young people that are twins and they end up going through all these adventures. The adults in their lives turn out to be various immortals or past gods. The very first one that I read, the first book being The Alchemist, there's information in the back of the book that gives you a little bit of the history on some of the myth. And I did not realize that Nicholas Flamel was a real person that was in France. In fact, there's a building in France, and it's not in the main downtown area. It's some little street area somewhere. That was where Nicholas Flamel actually lived and had his alchemy place. And it's turned into, I think they said in the first book, that it was turned into an inn and a restaurant. So you can actually go to Nicholas Flamel House in France and see this historic place. So there's been other types of history that I didn't know that much about, or myth that was woven in here. And then in the end of the book, he'll give a little bit of information about particular myths that were specific to that book in the series. The other thing that I liked about this last book is as each book built up, you were thinking, oh, this person's the bad guy and this person's the good guy. But the more books you read, the more muddy it became as to who was the hero and who was the goat. And by this book, it's like the whole world is turned on its head. And everybody ended up working together, even though they didn't know they were working together towards this common goal. But the people who decided the common goal were the two kids. So the two kids were the ones who changed the world for evil or for good. And they had to be the ones who made the decision, which is really bizarre considering there's all these other creatures and wise people. Why would you throw the whole history of the world onto the shoulders of two teenagers? But it even tells you why in the book. So it gives a different type of a journey that has a lot of twists and turns, which also reminded me a bit of the Harry Potter book, where at the end of it, Snape, who was the supposedly one of the bad people, turned out to be one of the good people. But yet in Harry Potter, Voldemort was always a bad person. In this book, there is no person that started out bad that ended up bad. And so it's a different storytelling by this Irish storyteller, Michael Scott. And this is a New York Times bestselling series, The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series. And I would read it in order too, so that you make sure that you get the whole history behind every character and are able to see the ins and outs of their decision making and how they all end up somehow relating to each other's story by the end of the book. If you're looking for some reading to do and you've got some time on your hands and are looking for a little adventure, I recommend The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series. Thanks for watching Barb Talks.